What's up, fight fans? Welcome back to KO with Kyle. I'm your host, Kyle. Today we'll be recapping the most recent UFC fight night, Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson, as well as forecasting the upcoming UFC 262, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. There's a lot to get into, so without any further ado, let's get into it. Starting off with a recap, let's talk about the UFC fight night between Rodriguez and Waterson. It wasn't my favorite. It was probably my least favorite UFC event of the year. Nothing against any particular fighters on the card. There were some fights that I enjoyed. There always are. But for some reason, I don't know if it was the Cerrone main event, the way that went down, or if it was the co-main event, or the Rodriguez-Waterson fight going to decision. There's just something about it just fell out of whack. I really wanted to see Donald Cerrone versus Diego Sanchez. I'm sad that fell through. I think that was a good pairing of fighters at this stage in their career. I didn't like him against Alex Morono. I just don't like the matchup, and when Morono dusts Cerrone, it's like doesn't prove that much for him either, and it just looks bad on Cerrone's last 6 fights, or 0-5 and 1 draw. So it's about time to hang it up for Cerrone. Who knows if he'll do one more, if Dana will allow him to do one more. I'm sure he would fight as long as he can, but it's just sad to see the end of his career. Starting off the card, we had Carlson Harris versus Christian Aguilera, and then in round 1, Harris got the Anaconda choke for the submission win. That was pretty nice. Then the Iron Turtle Jung Young Park got the unanimous decision win over Nchukwi. And Ludovic Klein versus Trezano. I thought it was pretty close. At the end, it almost finished with the guillotine, but it went to a decision, and Trezano edged that one out. At middleweight, we had Kyle Donkhouse versus Phil Hawes, and Phil Hawes got the best of him. Just kind of out-wrestled. Probably my favorite fight of the night by far was Carlos Diego Ferreira versus Gregor Gillespie. Gregor looked gassed after all the wrestling and chain wrestling he was throwing out in round 1. He looked pretty tired going into round 2, and he somehow caught that second wind because he just dominated the rest of the way, chain wrestling into ground and pound into a TKO finish. So Gregor Gillespie's one to look out for. At lightweight, even though Kevin Lee would say he sees holes in his game. Next up at heavyweight, we had Maurice Green versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima. De Lima could just get one takedown with a body lock and just keep him down all the round. So he was on top all around 3 in the majority of the fight. It went to decision, and De Lima won that one easily. Next up at welterweight, I expected more from Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal. I just thought it would be a better fight. Magny, to me, won all 3 rounds. He just outworked him. Jeff Neal was trying to be a wrestler for some reason, and it just didn't work out. We already talked about the co-main event with Cerrone and Morono. Morono looked really good. You just pressure Cerrone early, damage him, and he just can't recover. Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson. I don't know. It went the distance. There was some significant strikes here and there, but to me it just didn't blow my hair back. So moving on, let's forecast a card that probably will blow your hair back because it's just stacked from beginning to end with great fights. And starting off the UFC 262 main card, we have at featherweight Edson Barbosa versus Shane Burgos. The Vegas odds have Burgos as the slight favorite at -135. He's coming off of a loss to Josh Emmett, and Edson Barbosa is coming off of a win against Makwan Amirkhani. In their past 5 fights, Burgos is 3 wins, 2 losses. Barbosa is 2 wins, 3 losses. But of those losses, 2 of the 3 from Barbosa were split decisions, so they were pretty close. And he's been fighting much bigger names. I mean, he has a KO win over Dan Hooker. He has a KO loss to Justin Gaethje. He was fighting at lightweight, of course. The split decisions were against Felder and Dan Ige. So he's definitely been facing really tough top prospects in their weight class, respectively. He moved down to featherweight. I think it's a good move for Barbosa. I think Burgos is a really exciting young fighter, and he's got a lot going for him. He's got some notable wins. He beat Amir Khani as well. He beat Cub Swanson by split decision. I think this fight will just be really close or a real domination from Barbosa. It's hard to say, but either way, I'm picking Edson Barbosa. Next, at women's flyweight, we have Vivian Araujo versus Katlyn Chookagian. Katlyn Chookagian is the slight favorite at -135, and she's coming off of a win against Cynthia Calvillo, a unanimous decision, and Araujo's coming off of a win against Roxanne Modafferi. In their last 5 fights, Chookagian has 3 wins, 2 losses. Araujo has 4 wins and 1 loss, or 1 loss coming to Jessica Ai by a unanimous decision. I always think on paper that Chookagian's reach advantage and height advantage is going to come into play and be more of a factor, but it really isn't in a lot of her fights. That reach advantage just doesn't materialize into anything significant. So for that reason, I'm picking the slight underdog, Vivian Araujo. Next, at bantamweight, we have Matthew Schnell versus Rogerio Bontorin. The Vegas odds have Schnell as the slight favorite. In their last 5 fights, Schnell has 4 wins and 1 loss. His 1 loss coming to Alexandra Pantoja by KO. Bontorin in his last 5 fights has 3 wins and 2 losses, but he's most recently coming off of 2 losses in a row. A unanimous decision loss to Ray Borg, and then a KO loss to Kai Kara France. Schnell is coming off of a KO loss. They're both coming recently enough to Pantoja, and then a controversial kind of split decision against Tyson Nam. I think it'll be close and it'll likely go the distance, but I'm picking Matt Schnell. In our co-main event at lightweight, we have Tony Ferguson versus Beneil Dariush. The Vegas odds actually have Beneil Dariush as the moderate favorite at -185. Ferguson won his season of The Ultimate Fighter and was on a 12-fight win streak at lightweight before his Justin Gaethje fight. Both fighters are known for some unconventional striking. Dariush himself is on a 6-fight win streak. This is one of my favorite fights of the card by far. I could see it going either way, honestly. Tony Ferguson coming off of 2 losses really needs it. Dariush on a hot streak will probably maintain that streak. I could see it going either way, but I'm picking Beneil Dariush. In our main event for the lightweight championship, we have Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Oliveira is on an 8-fight win streak. His most recent wins were a submission win over Kevin Lee, followed by a unanimous decision win over Tony Ferguson, and he came really close to getting a submission win in that one as well with the armbar. And Michael Chandler has 1 UFC fight. It was a KO win over Dan Hooker. That set him up for his title shot. A lot of people think it's a little undeserved. I mean, Tony won 12 and didn't get a title shot, and Chandler won 1 and did get the title shot, but I think it's a great matchup between Chandler and Oliveira anyways. Oliveira is a submission specialist. Chandler is a great wrestler. Chandler has KO power. I'd probably bet the under on this fight, and I think it'll be close, and Oliveira definitely has the skills to just sneak out a victory with a submission win. But if I were betting on this one, I would pick Michael Chandler. Kyle's Fight Picks. In Kyle's Fight Picks, I have Edson Barbosa, Vivian Araujo, Matt Schnell, Beneil Dariush, and Michael Chandler. Next time, we'll be recapping UFC 262 as well as forecasting the upcoming UFC Fight Night. And it's a good one. Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. So please subscribe so you never miss our timely content. And until next time, Fight fans,